Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So, I feel like this is my quarterly illness. Not feeling great. And honestly, I had intended to take some time at the beginning of the stream to talk about the Phobies patch. We got a new patch, we got balance changes, we got map changes, we got all this stuff. And in case people didn't notice, I was part of the testing team for said patch. So, shout out to the devs for that. I appreciate the opportunity. Unfortunately, because of the way viewer games have worked out and other stuff, it was a little delayed, and then now I feel like shit, to be honest. I'm not even sure I'm going to stream tomorrow because I'm not sure my voice is going to hold out through this because we only have a few games. So I'm going to prioritize viewer games over discussing the patch. Maybe that's a good idea, maybe that's a bad idea, but that's the way I'm going to do it. So I'm curious how everyone else is feeling about the patch, how everyone else is feeling about, well, Firehorse, which honestly, the name is a little uninspired. The name is a little uninspired to me. I'm hoping that we get a patch in the near future to change it, similar to how we've seen in the past, either with, most recently Skibidi, but when we got Freeze Ray change, stuff like that. But anyway, we're going to take a look at some viewer games, chat. We have five viewer games. So we'll jump in. Like I said, I wanted to prioritize these because we just don't do them as much anymore because they aren't submitted as much. But I still enjoy watching viewer games. We are still working on the Phobies League. The test run is still going. And it's revealing a lot of things, I think, to a lot of people, or at least I hope it is. And we'll see what the next iteration brings, if the next iteration materializes. If you're interested in the Phobies League, hit up the Random Slots Discord. The link for that will be in the description. And yeah, I want to make these things happen. I want these things to exist, because if I was playing instead of producing, I guess, instead of hosting, I'm trying to create things that I would want to participate in. And if other people want to, we'll keep doing it. But anyway, let's get into it. So we're here on Red Rum. Illy is our hero. First win against a... nope, that's the wrong game. My bad. I think that single connection with Blue won me the game, even if it had Furnace Face ability up, allowing Erratic to get a ton of value. So I noticed out of the corner of my eye that we are unfortunately... snapping through. So I was afraid of this. I did check earlier today to see if the games are broken. And honest to God, I forgot that this would happen. I was expecting, because I'm like, oh, there was a patch. Games are probably going to be broken. Maybe I just talk about the patch instead. But, yeah. This one's busted. I don't think anybody... It sucks. We're just going to skip this one. I think the next one is probably going to be the same thing. We've tried these before, and I would love to go through it. But the reality is nobody can really tell what the hell's going on. So it's very difficult to manifest, even if you're very familiar with the game, what's happening. So we'll see if this game works. We're once again Illy on Vicious Cycle this time. First win against the top 5. Fuck. Well, Illy, my apologies. Well, chap, let me see if any... I don't remember exactly what day the patch was, but if there's only 2 games that work, we're not going to do this. We'll just talk about the patch. This game is entirely broken. So why were the... I don't understand why. Because this is on the same day as the ones that were from Illy. This one's going to be broken then. Most likely, anyway. I'm just checking to see if it is working. Nope. Yeah, these are all shot. Damn. That sucks. I just want to see if the last... So 4 of the 5 games are broken, so we will not do viewer games. We'll talk about the patch instead. I just want to see if this other one is working or not. Phobopolis 2, how fitting. And it does work. All right, so we'll keep that one in the queue. We'll keep that one in the queue. Maybe we'll play it in the background while I'm talking about the patch. Nah, we won't probably want the patch notes up. So let me get the patch notes, chat. Man, I don't feel good. Announcements. Oh, fuck. I forgot they're not going to be, because the Phobies forums don't exist anymore. Oh, no. Not like this. All right. Well, we'll do it in chunks. Oh, man. Yikes. We haven't had to do something like this in a while. We haven't had to do something like this in a while. All right, here we go. Oh boy. I wish the slideshow settings in fucking OBS were easier to do. It's just a pain in the balls to try and do this. We don't want studio mode. We need settings. We want hotkeys. We want 1.14. What I really should do is just delete some of these things. So we want next slide. Previous slide. Maybe I do this on the Carabas scene instead. So we do it here. We add an image slideshow. We want this. And we want this to stretch to the whole screen. Fit to screen. Why the fuck is it not? That's fine, whatever. We'll put this under me. That is going to hide some of it, but whatever. All right, we're going to start over, chat. Oh, where's my... There we go. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. It's been a little bit since we've done one of these. We're going to be talking about, well, what's not quite recent, but the most recent patch for our beloved game, Phobies. Now, a couple things to get out of the way at the front. First of all, of course, I am part of the content affiliate program. That means that the Phobies team does, in fact, give me coffee for producing Phobies content. Among that was going to be viewer games tonight, but because of the patch, it broke a bunch of the viewer games and we were unable to watch them. So it's as good a time as any to talk about the patch. 2, timing-wise, this is a little delayed, so let me know what your initial thoughts are. You've probably already had time to mess around with the patch, whether it be the Phobie balance changes, the maps, the additions, the whatevers. Firehorse also is namely what I'm talking about. 3, I was part of the testing team for this, so it was a really cool experience. Shout out to the devs for that opportunity. You probably saw my name up in lights, so to speak, in the Phobies Discord, and I forgot about it to a degree because I went to go pull up the patch notes, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's no Phobies forums anymore, so we're going to screenshot out of Discord, which we haven't had to do in a while, but we're going to switch gears here, take a peek at that, and we'll see what we got. So without much further ado, let's get into it. So, other thing to really talk about, if you couldn't tell, I'm not feeling great. I wanted to do both patch notes and the viewer games, and I didn't think I'd be able to do both. In fact, I don't know if I'll be able to get through all of this, but we are going to, well, we'll see what we can do. We'll get through as much as we can. So we're looking at, like I said, screenshotted notes that came directly out of the official Phobies Discord. So release notes for patch 1.14.2. And again, this came out at the time of this recording. It's already been about 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks. By the time this goes live on YouTube, it'll be over 2 weeks. So again, let me know what your thoughts are early on in the patch. But we got a bunch of bug fixes, a bunch of things that, you know, this is going to happen. Phobies is a very complex game. It's funny that we still have glob things going on. Glob has always been a bane in the bane of everyone's existence, especially the programmers, our bug fixers. So shout out to them for working on this. Quality of life update. We're getting some pack opening updates. You can skip the pack opening for higher level accounts. I guess that's fine. I was actually thinking about this the other day, because if we switch over to the game scene here, got to remove the slideshow from there. As I was talking about, they gave me coffee. I haven't even submitted a request for the monthly coffee in a very long time. I just kind of stopped because I was being lazy about it. But yeah, it might help me for when I go to do a pack opening, but it's whatever. It's probably relevant for it to be there for that sort of thing, but it is what it is. So the bigger thing here, the more important thing, the most important thing, I don't know if I go that far because the map changes are pretty important, so certainly up there. We got some balance changes. Now, the first thing at the top of the list is everybody panic quests will no longer select Phobies of Movement Speed 1. Any of the quest changes are very important. Those impact players at all levels, basically. And it's crucial that things like that do get corrected. I know, I forget how long ago it was that we were supposed to be getting this massive quest rework. Forgive me. Like I said, not feeling great. So we're supposed to be getting this massive quest rework, and I think a lot of us anticipated a much more dramatic change than what ended up happening. And I don't know if there's still plans to do something like that, if there's plans to, or just leave it alone, or, you know, it's on the board, but it's so far down the line that you can't even see it, sort of thing, or what the story is. But I still would like to see a quest rework. And when I say rework, I want an overhaul. I'm going to use a different word there because I want to emphasize the extent of what I feel the changes need to be. I don't think the quest system is spectacular. my brain is a little fuzzy, so I can't think of the appropriate verbiage that I want to use because I don't want to sound disrespectful because it's not intended that way, but it doesn't feel like it is up to the level of polish that we've seen from the Phobies team in other aspects and facets of the game. I think that it could be dramatically improved in a variety of ways, and I think that it is hurting the game. A lot of my emphasis, my focus, and my complaints have often been leveled at the new player experience, like getting people in. But you aren't it isn't your first hour of playing for Phobies, or first hour of playing Phobies for very long, by definition. Once that hour is gone, you're now into hour 2 or 3 or 4, etc. And there needs to be a big focus on maintaining players, the quote-unquote veteran players. It isn't even talking about me or Karst or Alien Engineer or Hoploy or, pick a name that's been around forever or left and came back. It's talking about the journeyman players that have been here that, or they are in month, like count in your playtime in months. Real world months, not like in-game months, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you've been around for a while, but you haven't been around as long as everybody else. And in order to keep them interested, you need to let them get the carrot every once in a while. And I think that changing the quest, and I understand, we've talked about the economics, and I don't have the energy right now. And I'm not saying that from an emotional state. I just physically don't have the energy to go through it again. You could watch any of my literally hundreds of other videos on the topic. But bottom line is, good, change the quests. Could use more. Now, we are going to talk about the changes that actually went into live. And this is, again, all coming from somebody who admittedly hasn't really played Phobies. I watched a lot of Phobies in recent years, plural now, but I haven't played as much Phobies as I would like, and it is still coming down to, in talking about other games, like, why am I playing other games or spending time on other stuff instead of playing Phobies? And to me, it's kind of calls back to a similar thing with the carrot. It's just the carrot that I'm looking for is a little bit different than what other players would be. Yes, I have tons and tons of coffee. And for a lot of people, the acquisition, the collection growth is a big part of what's driving them to continue playing. Oh, well, if I just grind a few more games, finish this season at gold, then I might have a chance of getting this Phobie that I don't have in my collection. And then I got to level it up, and then I got to do, that sort of thing. For me, I want tournaments. I want something to play in. That's why, if you haven't heard, I have been trying to do Phobies League in my Discord. Link for that, of course, is in the description if you're watching this live, !Discord, the bottle, handle it. But anyway, the point is that these are going to be my takes. Are they accurate? Are they appropriate? Whatever. So first up is Frosty ability lock duration increased from 1 turn to 2 turns. I don't think anybody's really going to shed a lot of tears on this one. Frosty is one of the most powerful effects in the game. It has been since its inception. I think that it flew under the radar somehow for a very long time, and this is probably deserved. I do want 9 keys to matter, but I will phrase it this way. If you're familiar with MOBAs, League of Legends, Dota, or my personal favorite, Heroes of the Storm, yes, it is the best MOBA. If you like one of the other ones, you're wrong. These are just, it's like the sky is blue, sun will come up in the morning. Dota and League are worse games than Heroes. It's facts of the universe. But anyway, if you talk to those communities, one of the most frustrating things and the most powerful things in those games are stuns. The other person literally does not get to play the game. Freeze is like that. And therefore it needs to be doled out very cautiously. So I don't think anybody's going to lose any sleep. Now, the next one is very interesting. I actually have a personal attachment to Zomboni. So the ability functionality has changed to target only undead. It can no longer target monsters, dimensionals, or mechanicals. The only healing ability that applies exclusively to undead. The ability lock is removed. Self-damage reduced from 400 to 300. The healing increased from 400 to 500. And the key cost reduced from 6 to 5. So this is kind of a big deal. I have a personal attachment to Zamboni because this was actually given to me by the devs back when it released. Part of the promotion that they had done at the time was that the content affiliates got to preview some of the phobies from that patch, and I forgot which one it was, but Zamboni was one of the ones that was provided to me, and I thought it was really cool, and I really wanted to make it work, and bottom line is this guy was doo-doo. He was unwashed, flat ass. He's just not good. So, do I think this is going to push him up? Maybe. The big thing here for me is the 6 now went to 5. And, it's been a while since I've been in school, but the last I checked is that this number is less than this number. And that's kind of a big deal. Yeah, this sort of change does not happen very often, nor does complete rework of the ability. I don't know that this is going to really push Zamboni to the forefront. I hope it does. I have said since day one of Phobies that I always love the idea of like these typal strategies where it's like, I'm just going to play mono undead. I'm going to play, my little jackalope horde, that sort of thing. And I think it's cool. I think it adds a different flavor to the game, and it creates a mini game, so to speak, of, oh, well, now I need to play a little bit differently, which is what you want in Phobies, which is a counter-pick game on top of the positional and strategy. And well, it's part of the strategy, but you get the idea. The idea is that you want these things to, my decisions impact my opponent's decisions, and my opponent's decisions impact my decisions, and that's how you play the game. It's always, it's kind of choppy steps instead of just, I have this curve and I just get there. Like I send a strategy, like I throw a ball and it just arcs to its destination and just goes. This is, you need to bob and weave a little bit. And Zamboni allows you to bob and weave a little bit away from the natural counters, aka poison. And I hope that this does it. I'm a little skeptical just because it is an answer and threats are always better than answers, but it is what it is. So moving on, we have another undead update. We got Bad Sushi once again getting another buff. I didn't do the numbers for this, but going up to 1800 health is a lot. What did it start at? I feel like it started at like 1400 health way back at Phobies 1.0. I don't remember. And the ability spawn lock was removed. I don't know. I've said it on many occasions that I don't think that a competitive Bad Sushi is healthy for the game because the key cost to health ratio, I think, needs to be so extremely high. Like, imagine having to sink 1800 damage, scaled to whatever level, into your opponent's 3 key in order to make sure that it doesn't detonate and just, your entire team sublimates. Like, that's a problem. I don't know. I do appreciate trying to make it playable. Team, to their credit, has persisted in trying to make this happen. I am just, and admittedly, I do this with my own game designs. I just feel like this is, at a certain point, I want to say, just let it go. Let it be a bad phobie. Some phobies are bad. And with the spreadsheet approach, which again, I'm not going to go into, but like with the spreadsheet approach, maybe this cross-section of movement, damage, health, abilities, whatever, is just not good. And that's okay. That's kind of where I'd leave it at. Next up is Hevo Plaid, now spawns with a temporary -1 movement range for 1 turn. This is a big deal for me because I do think the jump scare was problematic. I think that this is something that can be utilized elsewhere, even if it's not minus movement. Maybe something spawns with lower damage. Maybe something spawns with, a penalized ability. So it still doesn't have... So it doesn't spawn. It doesn't have a spawn lock on its ability, but maybe its ability is worse the turn that it comes out. And this is allowing for more granularity. That's the thing. And we've seen this in other cases, but I like that this sort of thing exists. I think jump scares are not good. It's one of the scary things with big movement phobies, and I kind of would like to see basically every 3 movement phobie from here on out for the rest of the existence of the game have this. Or shuffle it around, so if it turns out, Rambolina, not that Rambolina is going to be the problem, but like maybe it's Rambolina now gets reduced starting movement so that a new three mover can appear, because I don't think that the the 3 movement, at a certain point you cross a threshold where it's just unhealthy, and I don't think it's worth it. Edgar Allan, reduced health from 2200 to... Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen. 1950. Attack damage increased from 300 to 500. Sure. I don't even care about this one. Like, I don't know what this is trying to solve. It does have echoes of what was going on with Russell way back when, where ultimately what happened with Russell, like there was and some of this is starting to get hazy, partially because I don't feel well and partially because it has been a long time and a lot of balance patches. Bottom line is that we had a number of changes to Russell. Excuse me. A bunch of changes to Russell where it was like, we'll give him more health, or we change his health, and then we give him more attack, and then we do this to his attack, and then ultimately what pushed him over the edge was like, all right, well, let's just buff the poison on his thing, and then it was a problem. And I think that's kind of going to be how Edgar Allan goes, where you kind of need to just buff his ability, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you using him? I don't know. Hematic Ginsting, health reduced from 1900 to 1800. I don't think anybody's going to complain about this. This guy has been on everyone's hit list for a very long time. Now, compared to, say, Bad Sushi, the flip side of, hey, some phobies are bad, or hey, some phobies are good. This leads me to believe how much longer until we get more klepto nerfs. Now, I'm not saying Hematic didn't deserve to be nerfed. Like, there's an argument to do it, but there is a counter argument to consistent nerfs and patches and changes and things of, if you nerf a thing so that it is quote unquote in line, or just because people think it's quote unquote OP or whatever, where is the line? And that has been a consistent refrain that I've had with balance patches in any game I play, which is, what are we building towards? Like, what is the baseline? If this is overpowered, what's powered? If this is too strong, what's acceptable? And until you need to define what the baseline is, and then you can move on to what's overpowered or whatever, or underpowered, and then try and bring them in line, or find unique ways to be like, okay, well, it's a little overpowered or a little underpowered, but because of these other circumstances, it ends up being acceptable. So I'm fine with this. It's just a matter of like, whatever. Fish Tank, attack damage increased from 7 to 750. I don't think this is going to solve much. I don't know if it hits a breakpoint offhand, but I will say that I have had conversations with people on multiple occasions in the last several months about buffing your starter phobies. Fish Tank, obviously being among them, is kind of a big deal. So giving people, it makes your starter phobies go the distance just a little bit further. Is Fish Tank ultimately going to be... I don't expect to see it at top level play much more than we do now, but it is kind of cool. It does tread the line carefully, similar to Bad Sushi, where at a certain point, okay, does this guy hit too hard if it starts one-shotting things? It's not there yet, but it's because it's a vanilla phobia. What does it get in order to make up for that? Well, big numbers. All right, well, how big do the numbers have to be before that's a problem? We'll see. Primate number 9, also getting buffs. An extra 50 health. I'm not going to lie. My biggest issue with Primate has always been the damage output. This guy does the same amount of damage as a 2-key. And since he's melee, and also notably not like a 9-key melee, so it's not, okay, I have massive amounts of damage, like, well, Fish Tank is 7, but like, I don't have massive amounts of health, I don't have massive amounts of damage. I'm a 4-key, so I'm not dramatically different than the 2-key. I don't think this changes anything meaningfully for it. Smother Mother gets an attack damage increase from 800 to 850. Hold on, we're going to shift something real quick here. Because otherwise you can't see everything. I can, but nobody else could. Smother Mother's going to get an attack damage. She already kind of hit like a truck. Again, I don't know if this is for a break point. I'm not sure what we're getting at here. Like, why? And as far as I know, I'll say this again at the end, but like, I don't believe the devs provided any like explanation as to why the changes are the way they are. Like, what are we trying to achieve with this Smother Mother change? She's better, for sure. I mean, I guess she's not strictly better because there are edge case scenarios. Well, now this kills a dimensional, which causes her to die because of the way the damage worked out and blah, blah, blah. And then now I lose the game. But like, let's be real. For all intents and purposes, she's better than she was before. But I don't know. I don't know what this is trying to go for. Anyway, Whiskers health increased from 1100 to 1200. Attack damage increased from 300 to 325. I'm pretty sure this guy is still doo-doo. He's a 3-key. And he has, like... Wait, is it not... Did I crop this wrong? I must have cropped the screenshot wrong. So there is a second Whiskers thing buff that's not on there. It's the damage increase that I read. Does it matter? I don't know. I don't think anyone cares. It was Whisker's problem. Like, that's the issue I have with a lot of changes. Is like, what's the problem we're trying to solve? And is the problem that we're solving here that, like, it was Whisker's damage output the problem, and 25 damage? I don't know. It doesn't feel impactful enough for me to care about Whiskers. I don't think I've seen a Whiskers in a game more than once. In all the games of Phobies I watched, I think I've seen one Whiskers, and I'm pretty sure I'm still going to see a grand total of Goose Egg. So, we'll see. You can kind of see the end of the Whiskers thing up here. So Heartbreaker's health increase from 1,000 to 1,100. Ability cooldown reduced from 3 turns to 2 turns. That's actually huge. The reduction. Like, I mean, Heartbreaker's in a weird spot given the addition of other Phobies to the game. It was in a spot where you just, there were generally speaking better things you could do. This one kind of scares me a little bit. This one concerns me a little bit. I'm very curious, and let me know down in the comments or submit some games to Viewer Games if you have Heartbreaker games where you're able to go nuts because Heartbreaker was able to do this. But Heartbreaker's ability is hugely impactful. And going from 3 turns to 2 turns means you'll probably, as opposed to once, maybe twice a game, you might be able to get this off 3 times. You'll almost surely get it off twice. So, we'll see. Cupcake, the ability attack bonus reduced from 300 to 250. Health and ability healing reduced from 650 to 600. I think the main part is the first one. And that is now in line with Gonzo Bonzo. I'm a little surprised that we didn't get it at the time. I could see an argument of, oh, this is a one-time thing. Gonzo, you can do it multiple times, whatever. I think, I don't know offhand. I didn't check. We're doing this live. I didn't check to see if there's any, like, what is Edgar Allan's buff? I think it's 100. But, like, if there's any that are still 300, bring them down to 250. Just get it all in line. It's fine. And I think this is probably good. It's another one that nobody's going to complain about. Chonkies. Ability lock added for 1 turn. Ability cooldown increased from 2 turns to 3 turns. People have been complaining about Chonkies since I correctly predicted what it did. I distinctly remember somebody saying, oh, they pinged me in Discord and go, what do you think of this phobie? I'm like, well, does the ability work like this or does it work like this? And they're like, well, it can't be that. And guess what? That's what it turned out to be. So, yeah. This is probably needed. It is another one where I think it's a cool idea of what they were trying to solve. It just ended up maybe being a first iteration problem of, okay, well, we want to introduce something that helps melee phobies. So we do it this way. And it ended up being a little too good. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that iterative approach, assuming they... oh, please. Assuming the team brings out another phobie, like Chonkies 2.0. Since it's not a mechanical, it won't be called that, but you get the idea. Let's assume that there's a new phobie that functions similar to Chonkies, but in a slightly different way where it doesn't feel as oppressive. In the grand scheme of things, like from a strictly design perspective, that's probably fine. You know, and then you just let this thing fall by the wayside. You know, you nerf Chonkies to the point where it's like, it's probably not worth using. You introduce a new thing. However, from the consumer side, that kind of feels terrible. Where, you know, this guy was a monthly phobie. He dominated things. At least they responded quickly. Like, we've had definitely slower responses on other problematic phobies before. It's tough. I do want to see more ways to encourage more melee-based strategies. Here's the thing. There's the perpetual problem of the leveling system. Things aren't at level 1, so how much does that play in? How much does any of it matter? Does anything matter? Being nihilistic here. Does any of it matter? Because without a level 1 ladder, a level 1 tournament system, a level 1 league, whatever, are we really getting great data? The other piece is, and this kind of calls back to a conversation that Carson and I have gone back and forth with, and I've probably talked to other people about too, but I like the idea of, oh, well, I'm playing against so-and-so, and they love to do, you know, the Dark Sarcasm opener. Whatever that happens to be, you know, like, oh, they put these phobies, they selected these phobies on turn 1 and 2. That means that they're probably trying to set up this. So therefore, that means I need to do this. And I remember talking to Karst where having those lines so predefined was less fun because, and I'm paraphrasing here, so I don't want to put words in Karst's mouth, but it was, as I understood it, something like, well, the discovery part is the fun part, not the doing, because the doing is just kind of like a memorization thing of, oh, well, you did this opener, so I need to respond in this way, and then I need to do this, because Phobies doesn't have quite the way that, say, chess things play out, because there's the pick, counter pick element. And I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that I disagree. I think it's cool. So I guess in a sense I do disagree. But I don't know. I don't know if that's good for a game. I think it is. I think there's definitely more positives to it than negatives. I don't know. I had another place I was going with this, and then I kind of lost track because I'm tired. I don't feel good. So we'll close up with the map changes. Dark Sarcasm removed an obstacle from both the top and the bottom of the map to improve flow. So, first of all, general map changes. I love the idea. I'm glad that these are even existing. I think more needs to be done with the map changes. Here's the issue. First of all, my sickness is the issue. Here's the issue. While I think map changes are a great way to rebalance the game, I think they're a great way to inject life in the game. I think that for most people, these mean nothing. For the most part. Most people don't or are not deep enough into Phobies to appreciate changes in the maps. And I'm not saying that to crap on people. It's just, it's in the same way. And here's where people call me elitist. And yeah. Yes. It's in the same way that balance talks go. We're in the same vein, same category. Most people are not good enough to overcome their own errors to the point where balance matters. And that's before you add in the factor of the ladder inherently being imbalanced due to leveling. And that's not to say that things can't be imbalanced or that those people are wrong or that their feelings are invalid because they dislike or like a certain thing. But it does matter when you are impacting the whole of the game. And maybe to a degree it doesn't matter, because if those people weren't good enough to be able to beat XYZ, even though it's underpowered, if you nerf it further, well, other parts of the game are also not going to matter. And it's just a big cyclical argument. But bringing it back to maps, the point is that the maps, I think these are good changes overall. We're not going to go through each thing in particular because I don't have the maps up here really like side by side. I think it's good that the maps are changing. I do think it's an issue for the game because this does not bring in money. Even if every map needed to be changed, it would still behoove them to make new Phobies instead, because no one is buying new Phobies. You are indirectly buying new Phobies because the game is better because the map's changed. But a new Phobie directly causes people to buy new Phobies, right? Like Chonkies comes out, Firehorse comes out, and people rush to go buy it. If there was a patch where there were no new Phobies, no new balance changes, and it was just map changes, would it impact the environment? Absolutely. Would people be excited? Yes. But I don't know, and I'm not convinced that it would drive any additional buys. It just doesn't seem logical, but I don't really have any data to back that up. It's just from looking at it from the other end of it, where I played other games that produced all kinds of stuff for the game except the primary thing people buy, which is the Phobies, or in the previous case, cards. If you don't produce those things that people are primarily coming to the game for, what are you selling to them, and therefore keeping the lights on? And I know that's on the business end, not the balance end, but the reality is we live in reality, and you have to account for these things. How much does that play into their balance stuff? I don't know, but ultimately there are only so many people. They're only human. They can only work on so many things. And there's a lot of stuff to be addressed. Plus, they do want to create new stuff because they just want to create it, right? So there's work to be done with that. Bottom line is I do appreciate that they're changing the maps. It's going to take time to really dive into each of these and examine them. So chat, those are my initial takes. I'll be honest, since I was streaming before this, because we were planning on doing the viewer games, I'm not sure exactly how long that took. If you have any other questions, comments, or your own thoughts on it, based on what you played so far, or what your hopes and fears are for phobies going forward. Let me know down in the comments. I think that's going to do it for this one. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And tune in next time for more Random Thoughts. All right, chat, we're back. So, I do have to double check with Sandy that it's okay that I talk about the patch. I mean, I don't see how I could not be allowed to talk about it. It's public stuff, but I just want to double check. I didn't mention anything that was from behind the curtain, so I'm sure we'll be fine. The big thing, and I forgot to mention this, I don't know what the hell their plan is as far as, like, what do they want to do? You know what I mean? Like, why are they making these changes? Some of these changes are just like, well, we heard people complain about it, so we'll buff this thing. And I get it. Like, it's a lot of effort to investigate why is bad sushi still fucking blow. But that thing fucking blows. So, like, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? I don't get it. I don't know. I'm exhausted, though. I don't know if I'm going to stream tomorrow. I just don't feel good. It's not that bad yet, but historically, this is not going to suddenly get better overnight. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. So, extremely short stream tonight, chat, because I feel winded just sitting here. Like, that's how I know the chest congestion is getting bad, because I feel tired. Just like, I feel out of breath just sitting here. It's different from when, you know, if you actually exercise, which I was thinking today in my reduced state. I was like, I really should start doing cardio again, probably. Just mild cardio. What I need to do is I have one of those walking treadmills. And I need to switch it to this desk because I use it for my work desk. But I think it would be better for like when I'm streaming. I probably need because I have one of those electric desks that you can raise for my work desk, so that way I can use it. I use it comfortably, I guess. But I don't have that for this desk, so I probably should do that. But I'm gonna move all my shit then. It's just a real pain in the nuts. I don't know. Anyway, chat, I am gonna call it a night because I'm wiped out. And I don't know how much longer my voice is gonna last anyway, so hopefully we'll stream tomorrow. If I don't stream tomorrow, you know why. But that's gonna do it for this time. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time for more Random Thoughts.